Good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure being here. And the paranormal, like Liv was saying, there are many faces of it, and it's it's a subject that is very exciting. And when you start talking about it, you can go on for hours and hours and hours. But there's going to be a plot twist now, and that's not what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about something that is very normal, very, very normal. And to start with, I have two questions to ask you. They're both silly questions. There's one that's even sillier, but I need to ask because it's part of the script. So first question, does anybody here have used a computer?
Just to raise your hand.
You don't have to. Now the sillier one. In a smartphone, a cell phone, does anybody have one? Now, have you experienced, like sometimes when you're on a computer or you're on the phone, and the darn thing just shuts off by itself, and then you get that message, don't turn off because updates are being installed. Or you get your smartphone and then you have that message right there, the first message, right? Updates available. Update now or remind me later. Those are annoying things when we're using it. Very annoying, especially if you're in a hurry to reply the answer on your social media, whatever, the answer that cannot wait, right? Or in traffic that should wait, but sometimes they're not patient enough. So we see a lot of that in those two systems, computers and smartphones. Now, what are these updates that annoy us when we see that and we don't want to see that, or when we don't want to see that happening at that moment because we have something, we need that darn thing to use, so we can't, but they're annoying, but they're important. So I put here a little description, what are updates? And you can read there. They're periodic installation of new, improved, or corrected software that replaces older versions of the same software, same system. So update is to bring up to date. It is redundant. You all know what I'm saying, but I gotta say it again. So it brings up to date, up to the moment, up to the now, the operating system. It installs the latest programs, utilities, and security software. So utilities are programs that add functionality to your computer or your smartphone, enhance it, or help it perform better. Updates are usually provided by the software publisher at no additional cost. We don't pay for it, right? Maybe some we pay. Mostly we don't. We rather that it didn't even pop up on the screen when it is doing so, free or not. So that's what a computer or software update are. So what happens if those updates are not installed in the system? Most updates, that's the function of them, is to correct errors. If you don't update, you will continue with these errors. Updates also fix security issues in a computer. Without it, your personal information may be compromised. We see that, right? Like, especially celebrities and stuff. And you hear that their computer or their cell phones got hacked. They have pictures, videos, and images that shouldn't be, in public, circulating in public. We would see a lot of that, like in maybe students, like high school students and stuff. So if you don't have a system that sort of makes it harder to happen, if you don't have those installations, then you're susceptible to those security issues that's going to make your life, at least for a period, kind of miserable. So if you have this system that gives you this protection, or not you, the computer, that protection, then you might, have those very unpleasant circumstances that hurt you. You won't correct conflicts, because there are several different programs on a computer or smartphone, and if you don't apply the right ones, there are conflicts in those programs. Conflict with other software or hardware, because it's a connection, right? You have the operating system, and then the operating system is something that you don't see. You don't see, you don't touch. You just know that it exists because that's what makes your screen come on, your keyboard function, your mouse, your speakers, those hardware. So if you don't have the correct programs for those, you're not going to get the proper action. What they're not going to do what they're supposed to do, or they're not going to do the way they're supposed to do that thing. So updates correct those conflicts. And if you don't update, conflicts may occur and cause problems with other programs. Could we bring that to our life? So we and computers, smartphones, there's some common thing. Computer composed of hardware and software. Hardware is the visible, the device, the machine. That material thing that when it doesn't function properly, you feel like, sometimes you do, kicking it, right? Banging it, because it's not working the way you want it to work. So the visible, the hardware, is that thing, that physical structure that is perishable, and that sometimes we don't care. In the case of a computer, screen or keyboards or whatever, though they're made with the same atoms that make our physical bodies, they feel no pain. Though each atom has some kind of rudimentary consciousness, it does not feel pain yet. But one day when it becomes part of a physical body, for instance, it will feel pain, but not in this case. So hardware is the thing that we use, extremely important without, for the software, which is the invisible thing that controls the hardware. It's like the soul of the computer. You can't break it, you don't see it, you don't touch it, but without it, your beautiful, brand new screen or notebook, laptop, or your iPhone, 15 now? Without this thing, that invisible thing, it won't work. You needed that soul for that physical thing that sometimes we don't care much about. It's our We use it like a punching bags. Without that, it doesn't work. Now, human being, us, right? So it's same thing. So the hardware, our hardware, is the thing that you see, the body. So the similarities, body and spirit, body and spirit, just like a computer, hardware, software, body and spirit. Body is this visible thing, the hardware. This very same thing that we punch, that we hurt, either our own or others, and that is also animated by this invisible thing that we are, not that we have. We have a body. We use the physical body that works in conjunction with the invisible part of us, or spirit, the operating system of the physical body. And just as I think you might remember, if not, computers back in the old days, the huge mainframes that was the size of this room, and then their watches today here, they're more powerful than those computers back then. And they started just this huge thing. It was something new that our human creativity created, invented, as a evolutionary process of something that we see today. So everything started coarse, rustic, but a first start, just like our bodies. If you believe what Darwin say, what evolutionists say, and science sort of pointed that way. So our predecessors, maybe even us back then, we were not this good looking that we are today, because the bodies were different, were coarse, they were evolving. So just like in the technology thing, everything started rustic, big, unsophisticated, that evolution. Then very slowly, day by day, shapes that into a better, improved version. So in the computer, if you look at computer in the 60s, 70s, then when the desktop started, if you see a picture of an Apple in 1981, you can see, man, this is, that was the beginning. For this thing that is brand new today to exist, the old ugly thing had to exist. That was what started, propelled. So both, in everything, started with something rustic, unsophisticated, that evolves in time, just like us, body and spirit. So in the computer industry, both computers are still evolving. Now there's Google, I think, launching quantum computers. I don't even know what that is. And also human beings, us. We are also evolving. We are working in progress. We are not the finished work. We're still evolving. We're still learning. And just like the computer. So we have something in common with this technology. Now, thinking logically, and we are all able to do that because we are now evolved. So we have a power, each one of us. We can discern. We came to a point in our existence, in our evolution, that we already know how to discern what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. We can discern the same very thing in our lives, what we do right, what we do wrong. We know that. We all know. So we're using logic here, and if we think in this analogy, this computer analogy, we know that the more up-to-date and advanced the operating system is, the better the machine functions. That's logic, right? So you have a system that you sophisticate everything, because everything we do, we live our lives by trial and error. So when we come to this earth, when we are reincarnated here, we did not have a manual on how to live life here. We do not have a manual that says, that tells us, these are the way you should live your life. These are the actions that you need to take in all circumstances. It's impossible because we're going to have many, many, many circumstances, and we are spirits that are learning. We are learning. So we don't know how to do one thing unless we do it. And we might do it right the first time. We might do it wrong. Most of the time we do it wrong until we learn. Then we learn from our mistakes. Not everybody. We should. We do a wrong action, right? There's going to be a consequence that is not going to be pleasant. But it's not, doesn't have to be a catastrophe. It's something that we learned because we didn't know better. But once we make mistakes, then we already know what works and we know what doesn't work. And since we already have this capacity to discern, and we're smart, we don't like to suffer, we don't like these inconveniences, we don't do it again. We change it, we modify it, we update it, and then we improve our lives, right? It's logic. It's logic. And we know that all the computers that we have now, this iPhone with all these numbers and laptops and stuff, the latest version is the fastest because everything is up to now, up to date. It's going to be obsolete in computers. They say 6 months. Now I think it's 6 days maybe. There's something new coming because it's so fast. And each time there is something new that is changed, it functions better, faster, more beautiful. We don't see that darn circle on the screen when it goes round and round and round, and sometimes it never ends. And your thing that you're looking for, or whatever you're Googling or whatever, doesn't come on. But if you get something, those updates that makes it go faster, it works better. It's logic. So when we think of us, regardless of what physical age, because here if someone asks me how old I am, I can't tell. I can't. Nobody can say how old. No one here can say how old you are. Nobody. Because we are ancient, extremely ancient. Now, we have a body that has been in this incarnation for a period of time. And this body that's been here for a period of time, when we as a spirit don't have anything else to do here, we've done everything, when we finish being useful on earth, that's when we leave it. So I have this feeling and insight that it's lovely to live life on earth. It's beautiful. So for us, if we want to live longer, we got to be useful. There's a story of Chico Xavier, the famous Brazilian medium. He wrote like 420 books or something, psychographed. And then one day he was complaining with Emmanuel when he had written about 200. And he was very productive and hardworking. And one day he said he was talking to Emmanuel and said, man, we already wrote 200 books, and I'm tired. He was like in his 50s or 60s. 50s probably. Why don't we just quit? 200, it's a lot of books, more than people can read or reading or interested in reading. And Emmanuel said, right, that's fine. That's okay. You don't want to write anymore? I said, no, tired. I said, okay. Now, you came here to write books. For us, you're going to be my writer. If you don't write books more, there's no reason for you to stay here anymore. That's fine. Well, is that the catch? I said, yeah, do you want to leave? I said, no, let's keep doing books. So he stayed 92 years. So for as long as we are useful, we stay. But then you say, but there are a lot of people here that are not useful, and they're staying, probably bothering us. But then they also have a mission, and they're still learning, and you see that they're suffering. And the suffering, supposedly, is to teach them. It's their masters. Because they didn't listen. They did make the mistakes, but they didn't learn from them. Maybe mistakes that were not done in this life, in others. Because we not necessarily, we pay everything that we pay in one lifetime or in one right after that one. So it's when we are right and ready to do that. So what we do then, and we know that the more advanced that we are, the harder we work to improve ourselves, the better everything functions. It's logic. And we can tell that. We can tell right now, we know, each one of us, maybe with very small percentage of difference. But if we know that we live in a lawful world, universe of law, and cause and effect being one of them, and today, our life, we are very happy with our lives. We're happy with our physical health. We're happy with our mental health. We are happy with our relationships. We are not so happy with our finances, we will never be. But maybe it's okay. So we don't have anything major that bothers us. So we are being rewarded for the way that we did, for the right actions that we took, either in this life or in other. If, on the other hand, we see that health is not that well, not that good, finance is not that good, emotions not that good, so something is wrong. We're doing something wrong either here in this life or we've done it before. So if that is the case, we are always improving. So that for every effect, there's a cause. And the cause is exactly the effect is an exactly proportion of the cause. Right action, good results. Wrong action, maybe not so bad, but not so good as well. So we know that. So we know exactly the way we're acting, if we are acting, thinking, feeling correctly by what we are getting, by what we are receiving. Every morning we are able to know if we've done, what we have done before was good or not. And it should be improved. There should be no blame. No blame, no self-condemnation, self-punishment, nothing. Learning. That was my teacher, so that was my lesson. So if it pains me, if it hurts, I might have done something wrong. You correct it, the pain will go away. That's how it works. So if today you have that beautiful life that you wanted to have, there's always room for improvement because we are working in progress. But if we are sort of satisfied, So we could be sure that we've gone to the right path. Like I said, there's always room for improvement. So if we are feeling this, it's all good. So probably we have already made, those updates, so we are up to date with our operational system, and we're okay because the hardware is working good. So we're good. But if we keep this thing, old ideas, this old-fashioned, we don't follow through time. But we're still thinking, way back there. We see that consciousness today. We're going to talk about in a bit. So if we're still that old-fashioned, we have this defective system operating our physical body, there's going to be pain. It's not going to work properly. So we make adjustments. Chico, the same medium, Chico Xavier, and this should be in English, but it's in Portuguese for some reason. So I'll translate. To the others, I give them the right for their being whatever way they want to be. I give them the right to be whatever way they want to be. To me, I give the duty of being every day better than the day before. And why is he saying that? Because he is, just as we are, the only person that we can control. We are the only person, the only being that we can change. Others could be husband, wife, brothers, mother, whatever. We always participate in the betterment, we should at least, of other people. We can give suggestions. We can give examples. We can tell them that what they're doing is not good. They should change. But nobody will change if they don't want to. It's us who change. Then we influence other people around us. So we know, like psychology, right? When you see relationship problems, it's most likely, almost usual, especially when you have like couple going for therapy. It's the one that is there for the therapist to help change the other one who's home. It won't happen. It is us who change. We have no control of changing anybody. Now, the updates are offered free of charge by the editor of the software. So we are the editors of our own software. So we do these updates for free. But we need to have two things. We need to do two things. The desire to do it. First thing, you don't do anything if you don't want to. And then the action of doing it. The two things. It's for our own good to be always working with the best version of ourselves, with the most updated version of ourselves. Because there's one thing that we can never get rid of. Like if you're a couple, then you have a fight with your spouse. Then, either one is bothering you. I don't know who goes to the couch first. Normally it's the guy, right? Or whoever.
Of course.
Yeah. So you're there. So you get rid of your husband. So you go to the couch, at least for a night. But there's one thing, one person that we will not get rid of, not in life, not after this life, not in death. it's us. We carry ourselves everywhere we go. There's no way that we can get rid of ourselves. So we are our company 24/7. Be awake or sleeping or dreaming. Can't get rid of it. So what do we need to do? What is the best thing? To have this company that you love to be with. That is you. That wherever you go, to the couch by yourself or wherever you go, there's peace. There's harmony. There's a feeling of joy. We can achieve that when we work hard to always have this best version of ourselves, the best, the most updated operating system that animates the physical body. Now, just as there are viruses, computer viruses that ruin everything with the system, that corrupts files, everything that you work for, right? You have those things, and then you didn't back up. Then one does these hackers, and they make a lot of money to hack your computer because then they can sell the problem to the software manufacturer. Say, oh, your system doesn't work. See you, I hacked it. And make a lot of money of doing that, and then ruin things that you have there, all your files, because you didn't take. So there are a lot of if you have antivirus programs or like Avast or some others, and then you run it, and you see sometimes like 40 or 50, we found 50 viruses. None of them are ruining everything, but maybe if you don't clean that up, then it might ruin. Speaking of viruses, we are composed of about 100 trillion cells in our bodies. Is there anybody here who don't like germs? Or like microorganisms? The yucky, right? We have 1 quadrillion of those living inside and around us. So we are more viruses and bacteria and microorganisms than cells. And they are also all consciousness developing. And they're all inside us. They're a virus. We have E. coli, for instance. The one that you hear sometimes that infected lettuce or spinach, and people die. And if it's in the wrong place, you will die because it's fatal if you eat it. And it is in our intestine because most of those quadrillion bacteria are in our intestine. Without it, we would not have vitamin K, which is essential for our system. So when everything is in place, in harmony, everything works well. If it is not, if it's out of balance, then there's a problem. So just as computers have viruses, computer programs have viruses that infect them, the soul also have viruses. We as spirit, we also carry a lot of viruses that are not good. That makes the operational system operate in less than desired way. That causes conflicts with other programs, like programs that we live with every day, programs that we love to be with, our health. So I put a few of these. Spite, for instance, anger, evil, selfishness, fear. This is bad. We should not fear anything. We shouldn't. What is the worst thing that could happen if we're going to do something when you ask someone, what is your greatest fear? One of them is fear of death. If you're a spiritist, you don't have that fear because you know that you don't die. The body dies. So you don't have to have fear because you will not die, not even if you want to. And there are fear of other things, of things going wrong. So what? You correct them. That's how we learn. You are in a, business enterprise. I'm good at that. And you go fearless, and then you go bankrupt. Why would that happen? That happened to me. Then what do? You start over. It's material things. You can start over, do again. It's annoying like for a year or so, but it passes because you're persistent, we are resilient, and we have this power inside us that we can do whatever we want if we do it right. There's no limitation. We see the great things that we, as evolved spirits, and there are more like on earth, there are a lot more spirits that are still struggling than those that are already more lucid. So don't fear anything, because all inconveniences that we receive for making the wrong choices, normally they're very temporary. And it dissipates, it resolves itself. So don't fear anything. And then especially when you want to do something and when you tell people, you have all this beautiful, bright idea, and then you tell your best friends, and the first thing that he's going to say, it's not going to work. Some you say, oh, wow, that's interesting. What if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does? How can you know if you don't try? So you try, fearlessly. You go after what you want. It might not work, but it might. You only know by doing it. Violence, this is another one. Domestic violence. It's widespread. Not only physical abuse, psychological abuse. You know, you're good for nothing. You're so stupid. We never use that word stupid in our house. Never. Never. We don't use. And we have 2 daughters and a grandson living with us. Never used it. Because we know that our children are with us because they chose us to come with. Do you know why they chose, or we choose our families, our parents? Because we believe, we think that they're going to be good to us, that they're going to help us do our reincarnational work here. So they come blindly to us out of trusting. We should honor that trust. Once we break that, we are breaking that very soul that chose you because trusted you, and you let him down. It's going to change because we are all brave souls. It hurts to some people. You see that. Hurts the whole life, the whole entire life. I've seen it. I worked with terminal ill patients. They spend one life, entire life, hating, incapable of forgiving or asking forgiveness. The whole 89 years. Then come those final moments that they know that their work is finishing. They can't do anything. They need to make amends. They need to ask forgiveness or give forgiveness. If you want to see someone dying without all those things, those feelings of not forgiving, the hatred, it's painful. It's painful seeing it, the pain that they go through. So we come here to our beautiful doctrine, we learn that. That's what we want to do. We want to avoid that. So we have envy, greedy, unforgiveness, prejudice. We have that. Everybody has some kind of level. But those are viruses that infect our soul, that in fact corrupt our relationships, corrupt our health, physical and emotional. And we know that because we can feel it. So, just like we can do, we are the programmers of our own software, we correct it. Then we send this virus, and we delete all the viruses that are infecting our existence, that are infecting our relationships, our emotional and physical health. We delete the darn thing. We don't want it. It's a virus. The viruses. They're bad for us. Then we install replacements. Spite, and even reading the words, you see the beauty. You see how the words that are correct, you see the difference. One is harsh. The other one is soft, harmonious. Spite, goodwill, compassion. Train. Buddhists, they have a manual for you to train compassion. It's hard to find it, it's hard to do it, you train it. You look, how do you train it? Very easy. You do it, we do it every day. We start in the house or the family, because that's our core mission. That's why we come in family, to help each other advance. That's what we're here for. We chose to be together for that purpose, to better ourselves each day. So you start training compassion in your house. If it's with your puppy, with your dogs or cats. Preferably with humans too. The spouse, the mother. You train it. Because the same thing, the sadness that the other feel, you feel too. You don't want to be hurt, neither does the other person. So if we don't want to be treated in a certain way, we have no right to treat the others. So we see everybody, we look at everybody with the eyes of love, the eyes of compassion. We train, and we can become good at it. Anger, calmness, self-control. If we're angry, count to 10 or 20 or more. Self-control. Self-control, we regulate our, this name, homeostatic balance in our body, organs functioning well. Evil, benevolence, goodness. You help people if you can. You give a word, you give a hug, whatever. Selfishness, altruism. You do good. Even just a little thing, it doesn't have to be too much. You just practice, you train. Fear, courage. And we can do that. And I'll tell you, it's a good feeling. Violence, harmony. Prefer harmony everywhere you go. In the house first. Wherever you go, in your job, your company, whatever you are. Be the one there. Be that center of harmony. Instead of being that person that, feeds the fire. No, be the water that you quench the fire. Envy, indulgence. Don't be envious of anybody, of what the person has. Everybody, we all have what we deserve. We all have what we worked for. We all have what we fought for. And we are getting the results. We get the effect. It's the reward or the punishment or whatever of our actions, good or bad. Don't envy anybody. Be happy for them. They deserve it. So why this person is so successful and I'm not? Find a way. Find why. Do the same. Be successful yourself. Greed, generosity. Be generous. Give more tips. Those are little things that we practice. That's how we make these updates. That's how we improve this version of ourselves. Unforgiveness, forgiveness. This is the biggest. Prejudice, tolerance. We tolerate. We are all in the same boat in this life. We are here, each one of us, first trying to survive physically, and then try to be as happy as we can. Acting with the resources that we have. We are always doing our best. We could do more. But normally, we're always doing our best. But, we all have different stages of evolution. And for some of them, we're going to get it better, faster. Maybe we'll get faster next life. But what we do is, what counts is what we're doing now. And this, for whatever measure it is, even if it's just a little bit, we do the best we can. And that accumulates. Now, if we perform these updates, we're going to strengthen our security system, self-esteem, self-confidence. Even our physical immune system, this is proved. Hate, unforgiveness, all this rancor that you keep in yourselves ruins your health, your physical and emotional health. So if we do this update, it's for our own betterment. And we heal and prevent physical illness and emotional, psychological. We improve relationships, and we attract positive things in our lives, cause and effect. It's a law that we cannot break, not even Trump can break this law, cause and effect. You sow what you sow, so you reap. Thus, we sow a better present, which is the only moment that we can do something about now. And by sowing this better present, we're going to have a better past, because there will be memories of the great things that we're doing today will stay in yesterday, a month ago. But moments that we love to think because we created those great memories by the way we're acting now. And the way that we're acting now is going to also shape our future. So the better that we do now, the better it will be. The now, the past, because it's memories, and the future, because we're paving a better future for us. Cause and effect, we will get it. Now, there's this Brazilian singer. Are there Brazilians here? Raul Seixas. That was a great rocker. And there's several songs that, he's one of my fan. It has a beautiful song that is. And it's Walking Metamorphosis. That's the title of the song. So the song, I'm not going to sing. I'm going to spare you with that. I'd rather be this walking metamorphosis than having that old opinion formed about everything. So the old was good back then, but it doesn't apply to the now, because modern times. And we can see in this new generation coming, this new spirits, more evolved. Veganism, for instance. People who don't eat anything that has animal, it doesn't matter if it's milk or if it's honey. And it has nothing to do with diet or health. It's this new consciousness of the unity of things. And then all living beings, that's what Buddhism does. All sentient beings should be respected. They all have the same right of life as we do, as humans. So we see this new generation transforming our society, the way they see things. Everybody is seen as a brotherhood, regardless of sexual preferences, of color, or race, or anything. It's this new consciousness that we know that we are one race, one people. We're all spirits. All children of the same God, all children going to the same problem, same sacrifice, pains and pleasures. We're all equal. Maybe there are differences. But we see this new generation bringing this, coming updated already. And we see what adventures of kids like 15 years old, or even how many children going to universities when they're 13, 14. Never in the history of humanity we have seen so many of these geniuses coming. All new spirits, renewed, updated. That's going to be us, few generations, in our new incarnation. So we have this hardware in this life now, and the operating system was created back then. But what we do these updates. So we bring ourselves, our way of seeing, things or way of thinking to the modern times. To the modern times, and we become modern. And we create this by doing this. And it has to be something that we do every day, relentlessly. This strive for the betterment of ourselves and building the best possible version of ourselves. Every day, cultivating unconditional love, agape. A feeling that transcends differences and unite all beings as one, and drives us close to God. And I'm going to finish with a beautiful phrase of Divaldo Franco. What we have, what we possess, we will leave behind. We won't take it with us. All the things that we have, the beautiful cars, the Mercedes with the 50 months still to pay. But it's nice, we deserve it, we pay it on time, maybe not. If we don't pay on time, then we might have a problem. But 7 years, you get your credit back. That will stay behind. We deserve it. Everything that we have, material, we work for it, we work honestly for it. We deserve, we should have it, should enjoy it. But it's going to stay. It's passing. It can be destroyed in a hurricane that comes. Then you replace it. Everything that we have, that we possess, is replaceable. So the less we attach to it, the better. What we are, we will take with us. If we feel happy, if we are satisfied with our lives, the way we live, if we accumulate all this tons of love and friendship, all that, peace, we achieved peace, harmony, a little bit of knowledge, which is also very important, that we take with us. We take with us. We use it. It stays with us here. We take with us when we go back to the physical, to the spirit world after we finish this incarnation. We finish our job here. We are going to continue evolving even when we are not in the physical body, even in our stage in the spirit world. We'll bring it back with us again for our next life, and we will accumulate more knowledge. And logically, always improving, because we are always working to evolve, to become better. And by working, by having this refined, up-to-date version of ourselves, the spirit, which is the operational system of the physical body, we will have this hardware and software, the best that we can have, and that's going to be used functionally here, and that's going to make us happy, satisfied with all the things that we would like our life to be. Good health, good people around us, a little bit of money, and love. Love that we keep with us, that we practice, and then we spread around to everybody surrounding us. And then we illuminate. We light paths of light for people who are still in the darkness, that they can follow us because they see that there is something in us that they should see and follow. So becoming this better version of ourselves is what we should strive for every day, because we're going to be with us forever. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you very, very much. What a refreshing, enlightening talk, and thank you for bringing that to us. And I'm pretty sure everybody really relates to the analogy of software and cell phones and all the things that we are very used to see on our day-to-day lives. But the spiritual part, we tend to hide those emotions back in the folder. We put all the way back there, and we try not to take a look. So I'm going to invite you all to do a little meditation with me, and after that, we're going to go into our passes, okay? So tonight, we're going to keep with the theme of updating our mental screen, our spiritual software. So let's look deep down and let's find the folder that we know we have, and let's be courageous enough to open it. And in our mind's eyes, let's look into all those little apps that we try to ignore. Let's uninstall them. We're not just going to delete them so they have a chance to come back. We're going to make a conscious effort of uninstalling them. So let's get rid of anger. Let's get rid of violence. Let's get rid of greed, anxiety, fear, selfishness, unforgiveness. One by one, you start to look on those things that you have deep in your soul and it bother you. And you're ready to give it space for newer and better things. With each deep breath, we will be uninstalling every one of those qualities. And now we have a lot of spiritual gigabyte ready and available for the new. But before we install any better app, we need a super fast Wi-Fi connection. And our connection is prayer. Let's make a conscious effort of dedicate a few minutes every day in our lives to connect to the higher, to connect to our God, our higher spirits. So we give that space